Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar. Run for the latest weather warnings as we have numerous warnings issued over the next few days for snow and ice covering quite large portions of the British Isles as we continue to see not only cold but wintry conditions pushing in from the north. You can see some quite persistent precipitation with snow falling over the hills at the moment, potentially falling to low-lying areas tonight into Wednesday, and as we head into Thursday we're going to see more of a convective pattern taking off, but it really is going to hit the more prone areas pretty hard, and we actually have an amber warning issued for parts of northeast England for some of these persistent snow showers. We could see above hills maybe 15 to 20 centimetres, so a really quite high total. Again, we're not expecting that widely, but nonetheless some areas could be pretty severely impacted by this colder spell. And remember, it is still mid-November. We're not even actually into the proper months of winter yet. And yes, this could just be an appetizer for what could be coming, as we'll see in the second half of the video, looking at the longer range charts. As yes, it is going to turn less cold into the weekend and next week. Still chilly, still below average, but less cold. And there is the risk as we head further into December, we could see a return of wintry conditions, and they could be even more impactful than what we have now. So do remember, if you enjoy videos which do like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see a bit of an eclectic mix at the moment between rain, sleet and snow. To the south of this main band, we have rain. Cold rain, I must stress. It's not mild out there at all. It's around 4 or 5 degrees. The dew points are above freezing, hence this is falling as rain, but it is quite heavy with some of these streamers coming in. This sort of scenario, if we did have the air mass slightly colder, then yes, we'd be looking at some quite big snow totals across North Wales, northwest England into the Midlands, a classic kind of streamer effect here. But because wrapped up within this low that we've highlighted for the past few days, wrapped in within this, we have some slightly milder air. You can see it is rain to the southern edge, turning more to snow as we head further northwards. At the moment over moderate hills, but it could fall to low-lying areas tonight. And as this system heads southwards and could impact central southern England tomorrow, some of that cold air could even undercut it enough to bring even low-lying snow across parts of England. Again, we're not expecting massive accumulations or any accumulations at all, but some falling snow definitely looking possible, which is quite rare for southern areas during November. Now to the north of weather system, you can see we've got lots of heavy showers pushing in, and you can see the majority of these showers are snow away from immediate coast, but even towards immediate coast are expected to turn to snow in the coming hours, as we have got very cold air digging in. The air mass to our north definitely has strengthened in the past few days. Not enough that's going to massively change the outcomes, but just enough, a couple of degrees, which means snow is more clear cut, especially for northern areas. The temperatures do look pretty bitterly cold out there. Not only just bitterly cold in general, but really quite abnormally cold for mid-November. Now, if you put on the temperatures, as of around 8 p.m, you can see it is very cold in the north, cool and chilly further southwards, but the temperatures here are still above freezing. You see a few lighter blues in the far southeast, here temperatures dropping away further, but this is because we have clearer skies, allowing some of that radiation to clear off. Slightly further north across the Midlands, where we've got showers and cloud, it's more around the 4, 5, 6 degree mark, and then slowly as you progress north of the Scottish borders, up towards northern Scotland, you can see most areas here are low single digits, if not towards freezing, and that will become more and more widespread as these northerly winds push in over the next 12 to 24 hours. Now, if you have a look at the latest weather warnings, we've got 2 warnings issued at the moment. A snow and ice warning issued for northern Scotland. This goes all the way out until 9 p.m. Only came into force a couple of hours ago. And again, it's just for all the persistent convection we're going to see over the next 2 days or so. Again, it's a pretty blanket warning. No specific areas here are going to see more than other areas. It is going to be very much, as I said, showery events. So again, it's going to be very highly variable. But many areas, even to low-lying areas, 2 to 5 centimetres, 5 to 10 on hills, around kind of moderate elevation or low elevation, really 100 metres, not much at all for Scotland, and then 15 to 20 centimetres above those moderate to higher hills and mountains, above 300 metres. This hasn't been updated today, but you see once again it's medium impact, low likelihood, and that is simply because it is showery in nature. Then we've got this ice warning issued across parts of southern Scotland into northern England. Now, you may be wondering, why is this an ice warning and not a snow warning? And the reason for that is because, as you saw from the live radar, it's rain for most right now, and it will turn a bit more sleety, maybe a bit snowy later on this evening. There could be some slight accumulations over higher ground, but the main risk is from whatever precipitation falls out of the sky, whether it is snow, sleet or rain, it will freeze potentially into the early hours of Tuesday morning. And that means that we could see not only some risks from a bit of snow, but all areas are going to have a risk from ice, and that's because the clearing skies will allow those temperatures to really plummet in the next few hours. You can see maybe 2 to 5 centimetres of snow above 300 metres, so pretty moderate to high elevation for northern England there and southern Scotland. And you can see once it clears, we will see clearer skies, and that cold air will dig in quite quickly, and then we can see those temperatures dropping well below freezing by the early hours of Tuesday, and that's where we could see some quite significant ice developing. So that's the main issue there. Not going to see massive amounts of snow. Yes, it's possible in some spots. We're not expecting massive amounts of snow widely. It's really, once all of that precipitation clears, whatever remains on the surfaces, all of that moisture is going to freeze, and it is going to be, particularly quite dangerous perhaps out there. As we head into Wednesday, look at this. We've got lots of warnings issued. Still that snow and ice warning. Still that ice warning for northern parts of England and Scotland. And then a snow and ice warning issued for much of Northern Ireland for 12 hours from midnight until midday. Again, it's for kind of classic wintry showers, similar to the warning across northern Scotland. Not looking at too much here, a couple of centimetres over some higher ground, maybe locally 5 centimetres. And towards low-lying areas, maybe not seeing significant accumulations or any accumulations really, but still could see quite a bit of falling snow. Visibility could drop temporarily as these showers push in. And remember, these convective showers coming in off the sea can be really, really hefty, especially immediately on the coast. So even though maybe not accumulations too much here, still could be pretty hazardous. Snow and ice warning issued across the far northeast of England, and this is from midnight until midnight on Thursday evening. And this is what eventually spawns an amber warning into Thursday, as we see wintry showers feeding in off the North Sea pretty persistently for this 48-hour period. Now, it's not going to snow the whole time, and not all areas are going to see significant accumulations. But within this, especially further you go inland, we could see a lot of snow. I have to remember, the further you go inland, moisture does reduce as those showers start to die out. So it's kind of that perfect area, perhaps 5 to 20 miles from the coast, where we could see the most significant accumulations. So you can see here, it's going to vary massively, especially further inland. We are going to see some potentially more accumulations, but again, precipitation will be slightly less. But there'll be a lot of regional variations, and some places might see little to no lying snow, but where showers are frequent, 2 to 5 centimetres is possible. And you can see across the North Yorkshire moors and perhaps parts of the Yorkshire World could potentially receive 15 to 25 centimetres of snow by Thursday, leading to significant disruption. A few lightning strikes, maybe gusty winds, and of course ice as well. All immediate hazards. You can see medium impact, very low likelihood. And then we can see there's other warnings issued here, snow and ice warnings issued for parts of southwest England and South Wales, as we highlighted yesterday, perhaps a bit of a Pembrokeshire dangler. Again, very similar to the warning across Northern Ireland. We're not expecting significant snow from midday on Wednesday until midnight on Thursday, but could see a few centimetres, maybe 200 metres and above, could see more significant accumulations, again, for snow showers streaming in off the Irish Sea. And then there's this widespread ice warning that extends from northern England through Wales, lots of the West Midlands, even into parts of southern England. This is very similar to what we've got across northern England and Scotland tonight into the morning. It's very similar. It's the same area of rain and hill snow. It is more likely to be a bit more snow perhaps, and we could see a few bits of slushy snow on some surfaces, especially grassy surfaces, and maybe some more so widespread accumulations, maybe above 300 metres. But again, it's the main risk of any precipitation falls out of the sky. Whatever it is on the surface, it will readily freeze as the precipitation clears and those temperatures really fall away. Less so further eastwards, and that's because once the precipitation clears here, it most likely will be kind of mid-morning by this point, and temperatures will probably be around the 3 or 4 degree mark tomorrow. So less of a risk of ice, but definitely into the evening that could return. And then into Thursday, all those other warnings still issued, and then we have this additional amber snow warning that issued for parts of Scarborough and heading further inland. And you can see here further wintry showers from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. could cause significant disruption with big accumulations, 15 to 25 centimetres above 100 metres here. Again, more on Thursday as the really cold air digs in. You can see it is a medium impact, medium likelihood. Wouldn't be surprised if this shifts. You can see right on the edge of this amber warning, we go from an amber warning to nothing in the space of a few miles. So again, don't take these exact locations too literally, as they are very localised warnings. But this general area could be quite peppered as we head through later this week. And again, we've highlighted this for the past few days. So expected to see perhaps some more showers down across East Anglia, but at the moment no warnings issued for that. But as we'll see from the UKV now, there are still some showers here that we could see and maybe might warrant a warning in the next day or so. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see at the moment rain, sleet and snow clearing southwards. Initially rain on the southern edge, but more snow on the northern edge. And as we head into the early hours of Wednesday, you can see it's quite a mix there across much of England and Wales of rain and snow all together as one. Yes, more likely to be wintry over the higher ground, but not exclusively. Definitely low-lying areas have the chance. As we head into the afternoon, that clears, and then you can see those prone spots, parts of Wales, southwest England, Northern Ireland, northern Scotland, northeast England, and again into East Anglia, showers, especially snow showers, starting to pile in. Those continue through Wednesday night and get quite beefy, especially across Scotland into the early hours of Thursday and across that Pembrokeshire Dangler area. And of course, northeast England looking really lively there into the early hours of Thursday, and then especially northeast England really livening up there into Thursday afternoon. And because it becomes daytime, there is the risk of a bit more of a mixing there, but still snow across the higher ground. You see those showers do stretch further inland through Thursday and could even get to parts of southeast England there. So again, watch out for maybe a bit of falling snow there. Later on Thursday, eventually, that all clears. The northern wind gets cut off, very cold as we head into Friday morning, but then the rain does return. Could be a bit of transient snow on its leading edge, but for most it's rain, and then it starts to turn milder. Now I will stress, I say milder because the temperatures will climb, but they're not going to climb that much. It's still going to be below average, still going to be chilly, maybe 7 or 8 degree highs at best, and add on the rain, it will still feel really quite cold. So yes, we go away from the Arctic wintry air mass, we head to more of an Atlantic air mass, but still with chilly air influencing us and cold air trapped to the surface. It still is going to remain fairly cold all the way into next week, and some runs even have it remaining chilly through to the end of the month. Now do look at the max temperature to see overnight tonight, widely below freezing in the north, more around the mid-single digits further southwards, 5 or 6 degrees, but that will drop rapidly into Wednesday morning, and you can see by Wednesday afternoon, not getting much above 3 or 4 degrees in many spots. And again, around freezing or below freezing further northwards. Into the early hours of Thursday, a widespread frost, looking really cold there, widely down to 0 to maybe -6 in the worst spots. And into Thursday afternoon, not getting much above 3 or 4 degrees. So again, really cold. And again, for those prone areas where we've got a bit of snow around, not much above freezing, so ice days are a possibility. And then into Friday morning, it's another really cold start, widely again down towards freezing. Some spots across Scotland could even get down to maybe -8 to -10. Incredibly cold for the time of year. And then eventually, it's a cold afternoon, 3 or 4 degrees before another frost into the early hours of Saturday. And then that rain arrives, maybe 8 to 10 degrees there on Saturday, and still very cold in the north, but not going to see any snow there. And then into Sunday, it's still chilly, 5 to maybe 8 degrees at best, and close to freezing across Scotland. So maybe still a bit of a risk of snow in places, but really only the higher ground. So it remains cold, just not quite as cold there towards the weekend and start of the following week. Now, if you look at the long range, you can see from the latest GFS, the northerly wind continues to pile in at the moment. Eventually gets cut off later this week, and we go to more of a westerly flow, but the jet stream is shifted southwards, and that essentially means that it could be unsettled, but still remain pretty chilly. Eventually, the jet stream could shift back northwards, maybe once again, so it could turn milder with more of a southwesterly flow here. And to be honest, out towards 384 hours, early December, it looks mild, wet, and windy. No sign of anything cold here, but I don't suspect this is telling the full picture. Even though this run is fairly mild, a lot of the signal we've been seeing recently is for a return to some sort of blocking into December. Again, uncertain though exactly what that would entail. If we look at the latest GM, again, northerly winds continue to pile in. Eventually, the jet stream pushes back through. Again, it's southerly track, so it's chilly and unsettled. But then out towards day 10, it starts to turn a little bit milder with more of a southwesterly wind. But you see there's a lot of cold air just to our north. All we need is a little bit of an Atlantic ridge connecting to this bit of an Arctic high, and we could see another northerly blast here. So GM still fairly mild at this stage, but not too far away from turning us much colder once again. The ECMWF to finish again is cold, very cold over the coming days. Eventually gets flattened, the jet stream shifts to our south, so it looks really quite chilly, and even out into early next week in around a week's time. Still streaming in east or northeasterly winds, cold air is mixed in, so you can't rule out maybe a bit more snow there or a bit more winteriness in that sort of pattern. It's not abundant cold air, so it's not really widely very cold, but off the back of this cold week, you don't need much to keep it cold. After that, though, you can see the Atlantic does push back through, but all the way to 360 hours. Look at this, a bit of a Scandinavian high tries to develop, and that is definitely something that's cropped up on the long-range charts recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if that has a little bit more support, or at least we see that more from nodal output in the next few days. But very interesting there from the ECMWF. But the big thing is, you can see all three runs don't agree at all longer range, which again just tells me that there is a lot of uncertainty and no run has got a good idea or good grasp of what's going to happen. Now, if you look at the latest ensembles, it's very cold over the next few days. Still chilly though, through the weekend into next week, still a good 3 or 4 degrees below average, just not the 7 or 8 degrees below average at the moment. And that means that yes, it's going to be cold, but the dew points aren't going to be quite as low. You can see those dew points rising back above freezing, which reduces the risk of any snow, or eliminates it really for especially low-lying areas. And then longer range, returning closer to average and staying unsettled, but still not looking remarkably mild. And there's a few colder runs creeping in there, so we'll have to wait and see. ECMWF, just to finish, is very similar. Very cold at the moment, climbing a bit closer to average into the weekend, but still looking pretty chilly into next week. Not massively cold, but still that 3, 4, 5 degrees below average. Not the 8 or 9, but it is still going to be very chilly and potentially still remaining kind of mid-single digit, low single digits by day, with coming off the back of the colder week we've had this week. And you can see even longer range, yes, returning close to average and eventually above average, but still plenty of uncertainty. So another pretty cold 7 days coming up. Wintry risk does disintegrate as we head into Friday and Saturday, but yeah, doesn't look like we're going out of this kind of colder pattern for at least another 7 days or so, where eventually we could get back to something a bit milder. But yeah, I wouldn't count on that, as it does look like we continue to remain in sort of colder air for the foreseeable future. But anyway, make sure you do stay safe over the next few days, even if you're not going to be directly impacted by any of the big snow that is going to be around in isolated spots. It is going to be icy, it is going to be very cold, so there are going to be those hazards as always, so please do stay safe out there. Even if you see rain coming out of the sky, within a couple of hours the temperatures can drop, especially in the next 24 hours, very quickly, and there could be ice, so please do stay safe. But anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.